This is Rickie News Channel. I'm James Menendez. Our top stories.
The British public last night condemned Joe Biden for the crisis in Afghanistan as they expressed fears the turmoil could lead to fresh terror attacks here. A poll for the Daily Mail found the president's decision to pull out U.S. troops was considered wrong by almost 2-1. Mr. Biden is seen as most to blame for the Taliban's victory, just ahead of Donald Trump. Almost half, 49%, say their view of Mr. Biden has worsened. But the results of the JL Partners survey, the first major poll conducted since the collapse of Afghanistan, also make grim reading for Boris Johnson. Nearly 7 in 10, 67%, feel the Prime Minister and his team have not been in control of the situation, including 58% of Tory voters. And the majority, 51%, believe he should have done more to persuade Mr. Biden not to pull out his troops so soon. However, there is a reluctance for British soldiers to remain in the country, with around 6 in 10, 58%, opposed to them staying on their own without the Americans alongside them. More than half, 51%, said ministers have not done enough to help Afghan interpreters who helped British troops find refuge along with their families. The Mail has highlighted the urgent issue over the 6 years of our award-winning Betrayal of the Brave campaign. A majority, 53%, said Britain should do more to accept refugees fleeing the Taliban, compared to just 1 in 5 who disagreed. Only 8% said they believed Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab has handled the crisis well, with 13% saying the same about the Prime Minister. Both Mr. Raab and Mr. Johnson were on holiday as Kabul fell to the advancing fanatics. The PM returned from his break in the West Country on Sunday afternoon for a Cobra meeting in Whitehall, while the Foreign Secretary, who had been in Crete, eventually arrived back in the country in early hours of Monday. Nearly 4 in 10, 38%, said Mr. Raab came back from his holiday too slowly, while 33% said Mr. Johnson had not returned quickly enough. However, only a fifth of voters, 20%, wanted either the Foreign Secretary or the Prime Minister to resign. And even fewer, 8%, thought Defense Secretary Ben Wallace should go. The poll revealed growing fears about the threat of terrorism in the wake of the Taliban takeover. An overwhelming 59% said Britain's safety has worsened, while 55% warned they believe the risk of a terror attack in this country has grown. Almost a third, 30%, expressed concern that their own personal safety is now worse. 4 in 10, 40%, said Britain's influence on the world stage has declined. The U.S. is still seen as the most powerful nation by 41%, but it was only 5 points higher than China on 36%. However, despite the chaos in Afghanistan, Britain still preferred Mr. Biden to his predecessor, Mr. Trump, to handle the situation by 38% to 20%. Almost 6 in 10, 59%, expressed the belief the 457 British military personnel killed in Afghanistan died for nothing. Some 65% said the West has let down Afghan women and children, while 53% expect UK troops will eventually have to go back.